And welcome back to Stop Being Sold. My name is Michelle and I'm here with Brian. And in today's video, we're discussing the September job report that was released today and what it means for you and for your finances.
Hey, Michelle, honestly, this was a great report.
Excellent.
If it was in any other time frame than this year, unemployment hit some new all-time lows and wages are still rising. But this is actually negative news for the continued rate hikes. What the Fed has done so far really hasn't put a dent into this market or the high inflation that we have. But we'll talk about that more in a minute, but let's get right to the data. Total non-farm payroll employment increased by 263,000 in September, and the unemployment rate edged down to 3.5%, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Job gains occurred in leisure and hospitality and in healthcare. Also, average hourly earnings for all employees on non-farm payrolls rose by 10 cents or 0.3% to $32.46. So this is the second month in a row for slower job growth, but it's still a hot reading.
Yeah, it is. So I just want to break it down. You don't have to give us all of them, but you mentioned leisure, hospitality, and healthcare are some of the industries that are growing.
Right.
Not surprising, right? Uh, so talk a little bit, can you give us some numbers on who's adding jobs, which industries, and which ones are shrinking?
Sure. Like you just mentioned, leisure, hospitality, which is like restaurants, travel, that kind of stuff. Also healthcare, up 83,000 on the leisure, 60,000 on healthcare. How about professional and business services, up another 46,000? Manufacturing.
Okay, I was going to ask about manufacturing. That's
Yeah,
a big
it's
one to watch.
trending up again, which is great. We like to see that. So
Sure.
22,000, motor vehicles, 8,000. Let's look at some of the declines though. Insurance and financial services dropped again. Kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Mortgages have basically stopped,
Sure.
dead in their tracks. So that's a big part of the insurance and financial services. Business support services. This is like customer service down
Right.
12,000. Same thing with legal and advertising related services are down also.
All right. Well, as you mentioned, this data isn't a great sign right now. Like any other time in history, it might be a
It would
great
be a
one,
great report.
right? But the data today just isn't a great sign that as the Fed tries to tamper inflation. And it
Right.
really looks like if anyone had a question, if they're going to continue as hawkish as they are, I mean, this looks like they have to continue to raise
Right.
rates to slow down things.
Yeah, I think the Fed will continue to do more and maybe possibly at an even more aggressive level. We'll see
Mhm.
what the CPI numbers come in next week. But what they've done so far hasn't really put a major dent into the hot labor market.
No, it hasn't. Not at all.
And you could tell that this morning, the initial market reaction, of course, was down as these numbers are still too hot. Wages are increasing, unemployment is down again, and inflation is still rampant and may continue longer than expected.
Yeah. Well, everything's so connected always. Some of us think that this jobs report may not affect us, but it does. What does this mean for the average person other than, interest rates are going to continue to rise?
Well, you just said it. Rates are definitely going to continue to rise. Wages, though, are still rising,
Right.
which in turn fuels more inflation. This may lead to the Fed overstepping their hand to bring down inflation,
Right.
potentially leading us to a recession. We talked about the economy last month, how hot it was.
Mhm.
And I mentioned that when I was traveling, what I personally seen when I was traveling, Michelle, was the economy was booming.
Yeah.
These numbers show it. Okay. Restaurants full, highways packed, and people are still spending money.
Sure.
So even though the Fed has risen as fast as they did this year, it has not slowed the
No.
spending down of consumers out there today. So
All right. So I have one last question for you before we get there. If you like the content of this video, hit that like button, help us grow this channel, and don't forget to subscribe, please. All right. I'd like to add that, please. Be a little polite about it. So Brian, here's my last question. What do people need, like viewers watching, need to do or should do or consider doing to protect themselves and their money moving forward? So what we've talked about today is interest rates are going to continue. I mean, they have to slow things down, right? We don't
Right.
know where inflation numbers are going to be. We have the CPI next week, but still, we're all feeling inflation. You've got it's getting more expensive to live. Now it's more expensive to get a mortgage. What does the average person, what do they need to be doing right now or should be doing
Well, we
with their
got
money?
we got two scenarios here. Two driving forces. One, for the average American, your pays are increasing. Okay, so you've got more money coming in. One thing that I would focus on right now is saving more.
Yeah.
Okay, you're finally being paid due to these high interest rates that are
Right.
coming right now. You're finally being paid to save. We're seeing rise in interest rates, not only in the mortgage market, Michelle, but also in the savings rate.
Sure.
So you got a benefit to start saving. And the other side of the coin is all your costs are going up.
Sure.
That's another reason to start saving, watching your budget,
Stop. I
seeing
was
what's
going to say,
going
stop
on a monthly
spending.
basis. And it's tough because groceries are up, utilities are up,
Sure.
everything's up. Okay. Watch your credit cards because they are going up dramatically as far as
Yes.
the interest rates.
Yeah.
But um, some good signs, Michelle. The credit card numbers that we seen last month were some of the best in history, by meaning that the majority of the consumers were paying off their credit card balances on a monthly basis.
Interesting. Interesting.
That was interesting because that goes right along with people have more money than they did years ago.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So, and that's why this inflation is not coming down as fast as everyone thought it would be. So,
Right. And then there's also on the flip side of that, I've been reading reports, and I'm sorry I don't have the data in front of me, but how many people are, what's the word, defaulting or just not able to pay their utility bills on time.
yeah, utilities are at the
That's
utility defaults are some of the highest rates
defaults, right? We've
we've
seen.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that, Brian. Thanks to everyone who watched to the end. Again, hit that like button if you like the content we're producing. If you have questions, leave them below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, Brian, for everything, and thanks to everyone who watched.
Thanks, everyone.